Yay, I made it! Hooray! I've been getting some messages of people asking me what they should send me for my birthday. Time management, please. Okay, so I have to get everything open because I just hopped on before I could even get that far because I was like, oh my god, this needs to happen. I was getting all the alerts telling me that I need to get on or else they're going to cancel my stream. So I made it though. That's good. Let's see. Where would this be? Wow, my video is still monetized. That's cool. I did not see that coming. So yes, my lateness today is brought to you by the fact that I set unreasonable, well, I don't think they're unreasonable. They end up being unreasonable goals for myself, and I get stuck on them. And my goal today was to make sure that I got a video up before I came on to stream, because it was a video that I had wanted to get out last week and just couldn't. So I was like, no, it has to be today. It has to be up. And then I ended up having an emergency client call during the same hour that I was planning on.
Well, I don't think
sorry. That's, okay. There was an echo there for a minute. Yes, so I ended up having an emergency client call during the same exact time that I was planning on posting my video and eating dinner. So that's what happens. Anyways, I'm going to say hello to everyone. And wow, there are already some super chats. So let me get all up to them. So, Squid Monkey says, happy birthday. Well, he says, and happy birthday. So that leads me to believe that there was something before that, and I just can't see it. So, because that's the first one I'm seeing. So I guess I better go in this other video or other window and make sure that I'm actually getting everything. Yep, definitely did not get everything. And oh god, it picked a thumbnail on its own and it's awful. I'm going to have to fix that. So Jesse Meek says, oh, thank you, Jesse. Oh, actually, there was one before that. Dazed and Confused Stacker sent a cute little sticker. Jesse Meek says, happy birthday, doll. Go get something for yourself from all us hicks in Kansas. I'm in Connecticut tonight, on my way to Maryland tomorrow. Call me country. Yuck. Don't forget to drink. You were just a tiny bit riled up last week. Hope today is better. Today is better. We actually have a modicum of good news coming in today. Torque1, thank you, says, yes, happy birthday to you from Anti-Commies in California. Douglas from PA also sends a cute little sticker. He's celebrating. Robbie Mac Q says, happy birthday, $1 for every year you are old. We'll go with that. Shall we? And now we're getting to the ones that I can see over here. Squid Monkey says, and happy birthday. Mr. Rover Pilot says, recorded my phone copy of it, and don't worry, I contacted the original owner of the video and told her I was doing it. Is that what? Is that in reference to me that did you take a copy of my video? I mean, if you did, that's okay. I'm just really confused and my phone is going crazy. I keep copies of everything on my computer, and they are mirrored on Gunstreamer and BitChute. Though BitChute doesn't always cross over when it's supposed to. Where's Trashman at? Is he further down? Are we getting there? La-di-da-di-da. Da-di-da. Oh, I see Andy is here. I guess I'll say, okay, here we go, another one. Robert L. Alexander says, happy birthday. I appreciate your hard work for the cause of liberty. Thank you. Robin Patty says, happy birthday from Mostly Free, Tennessee, with a cute little cake and a cute little gift emoji. There's Trashman. Okay, this is what we need before I can start everything else and say all my hellos and everything. So Trashman says, live from the hive, it's the murder hornet answer to the liberal infestation, the lady who suffers fools about as well as a case of athlete's foot, the birthday hostess with the mostest. Here's Dolly. Thank you. And now I see over here that I did miss something from Mr. Robopilot, which probably makes more sense. I don't know why it didn't pop up in StreamYard. It only popped up over here. It says, I sent you my own copy of the video from the Canadian about Justin Trudeau's 1,500 firearms ban. It has been removed from Facebook and YouTube. Interesting. Okay. There have been a lot of things that have been removed from Facebook and YouTube recently. There's that little documentary going about. I haven't seen the whole thing. I think it's called Plandemic. I know that that's been deleted and censored quite a few times. So it doesn't surprise me that there's other things that would be getting taken down. So, first of all, my official birthday was actually on Wednesday, but Wednesday is in the middle of the week, and it felt too far from last week's live stream, so that's why I put it today. So that's what's going on with that. So for my birthday, fun fact, my husband really pulled through. We were total rebels, rebel, and he surprised me. He found a disc golf course that was open, is still open, on a college campus that's like an hour away, and he convinced two of our friends to come and play with us. It didn't take a whole lot of convincing. They think this whole thing is as stupid as I do. And so we rebelled against social distancing by playing disc golf together and then getting takeout and eating cake, all in the same room. Oh, I know. So crazy. So crazy. Let's see. Too Tall says happy birthday and hello from Pennsylvania. Mr. Rover Pilot and Deranged Lunatic sent slices of cake. That's so cool. I didn't even know that was possible, like a little emoji. LaFiva, you're going to have to tell me how to pronounce that one of these days. Says don't have much $2 to say happy birthday. Thank you. And then Mr. Rover Pilot says that he broke up his comment into 2 comments. Okay. So let's see who is in here today. We got lots of folks in here, and I'm sorry that I pushed it back to 7:10 and then was still late. Michael Clark is here and theorized that the Massachusetts Hitler Youth had gotten me. Cornered me to sell swastikas and Charlie Chaplin mustaches. Not quite. Let's see. Douglas from PA. Got him already. Squid Monkey I got. Torque 1, of course. Fred Weaver is here. Kelly Karshner is here. Q is here. Robert Graham. John Pickney. Brian Whited. Dave Smith is in. Iron Daisies, of course. Raymond Leverens, our Seeker 1. Bob Laws is here. Gard is here. Hi, Gardner. I was still late, so I guess I didn't see if you wished me luck, but if you did, I apparently needed more. Let's see. Oh, I don't know how to say this. We'll say Jose. There's a U in there, so I'm not sure, but we'll say Jose Viguila. I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering that. Tarl Perman is here. 2 Timothy 3. Timothy Courtmanche. Nathan Marks is here. I know Andy is here because I saw him earlier, and for some reason my camera went out of focus. There we go. Okay. Let's see. David Neal, Michael Zeller, Prepper Dad, the Wolfpack, Big Al. We got a whole bunch of folks in the house today. Ozark is in. Lots of folks. Stephen Lundgren. My goodness, it's going too fast for me to keep up. John Sparks, Mike Bigelow, David Neal, William Whitaker. Lots of people here today. Okay, Tracy Holloway. I saw someone said that they joined the Libertarian Party for the first time today. Tim Allen is here. Thank you, Tim. Christopher P. says, happy birthday, doll. You playing virtual D&D tonight? Either way, I hope your day is brighter. I am playing tonight. I am. Jonathan Stevie sent me something in German. I don't know the last word, and everybody's going to pick on me for my pronunciation because that's what they did last time. I do a lot better when I am by myself playing on the app. Alles gut, Zoom Geburtstag? I don't know. I don't know many words that start with G, so is it a hard G? Geburtstag? I don't know. Indy 500 is here. Everyone's going to make fun of me for my bad German, whatever. The irritated American, thank you for the little piece of cake. I like that it's pink. That's really cute. Dave Smith says happy birthday. The irritated American says make sure you get a good birthday spanking. Madochanta, thank you, says happy birthday with a couple little cakes and a heart. Mr. Rover Pilot says, I recommend everyone save hard copies of videos likely to be deleted. Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, like I said, everything is backed up in other places, and I have a hard copy, but my hard copy doesn't help you guys if it's getting deleted from places. Trashman says, only you can turn Tron trading into rebellion. Matthew Newson says, happy birthday. Robert Chappelle says, happy birthday from Not Quite Free, Nevada. So I had a friend that had an interesting question that came up today. So is prostitution considered essential in Nevada? Because it is legal there, right? In the brothels. So, I mean, are they closed? What's the deal? Oregon has the drive-by or the drive-through strip clubs now. So, like, who knows? It's a possibility, right? Rose Blight says, Plandemic, the movie part 1, interview with Judy Mikovitsis, still on BitChute, rather sickening what is going on with the virus. So I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see some bits and pieces of it. Interesting stuff coming out of that. So funny story, actually, because you said the Tron training. So we went to this course, right? And there was like a few other people out playing, and there was like this group of Asian women walking around with masks and snowboarding goggles. And gloves, but I don't know why the goggles were necessary. I'm unsure about that one. Don't really know what that's about. As far as the mask order that went into effect here on Wednesday, so I have seen some people out and about and going into like Cumbies and places like that and not being turned away. In the local coffee joint, Mary Lou, there were some of the workers there complaining about how stupid this whole thing is. So Robert Chappelle says the brothels and the strip clubs are closed at least until the 26th. I mean, I guess I get it. It's not exactly sanitary necessarily or hygienic, but like, you know, whatever. It's a service. Robin Patty, thank you for the little cake slice. And now, is that a thing that's like always available, or is it just like special because I put the word birthday in there? Because like Facebook does special things for birthdays. So Michael Clark says someone could spit into your eye. Yeah, I suppose that is a thing. So let me pull up, since I said there was some good news. Oh, let me fix this a little bit. Let me pull some of this up. It's going to take me a minute to find it. So someone sent me this via Instagram, so I could only see the... Oh, that's messed up. I just opened Facebook, and there's a really messed up article right at the top. Oh, damn, there's some really messed up articles that are popping up on my Facebook right away. So I guess we're going to look at those today. Okay. So let me find the good news one first before we see what all the bad ones are. So I know that this was posted on the town Facebook. And people were surprisingly on board with it. It's going to take me a minute. Well, so I'm looking for the article, but a federal judge supposedly ruled that Governor Baker needs to allow the state gun shops to open, which is pretty amazing. I'm looking for the actual article so we can look at it. And I know this is really boring right now, guys. All right, I'm giving up and just Googling. So, federal judge rules MA gun shops to open. Yeah, Googling would have been way faster. So we got one out of WCVB Boston and NBC Boston. So let's do a share screen and check this out. Bum, bum, bum. Don't allow. So this is pretty cool. This is the big news in Massachusetts today. So federal judge orders Massachusetts to allow gun shops to reopen during coronavirus state of emergency because the firearms industry was purposely left out of Governor Baker's. Come on, it's not letting me scroll. Come on. Well, is my computer broken? What's happening? Technology, man. All right, we'll do this article instead because that one is not working. And this one is. So Massachusetts gun shops allowed to reopen as judge overturns governor's order. So this is good news. And so now I guess John over at the Gun Runner might not be the only person open now. Gun shops in Massachusetts will be allowed to open, a federal judge said Thursday after a group of gun owners sued the governor over his decision to include them in non-essential businesses shuttered due to the coronavirus pandemic. Dun dun dun! So this was a decision by U.S. District Judge Douglas Woodlock, and it was done via a virtual hearing, which is really interesting because pretty much everything has been stopped in Massachusetts. So I'm actually really surprised that this case was even heard, to be quite frank. And he said that there is no justification here. The plaintiffs have constitutional rights that deserve respect and vindication, and it becomes necessary for a court to do that, which is an insane decision to be coming out of a Massachusetts court, quite frankly. Well, it's the district court, but even still, it's a pretty crazy decision. Let's see if the Boston Globe will let us read this. Nope. Let's see if we can open this incognito. Because sometimes that works. Nope. Oh, well. Okay. I guess we won't see the whole thing. It really sucks that the Boston Globe is behind a paywall. But, so let's see. The judge said he will impose restrictions on gun shops for when they do reopen, like requiring them to operate by appointment only. So that part is pretty crappy. I'm not really sure why we need to do appointment only. John's been doing, granted he's been very busy, but he's been doing just fine over in Middleborough with the Gun Runner by doing like the walk up and carry out service that the ATF did say was perfectly fine and appropriate. But especially considering the news came out today that Six Flags is going to be doing reservations when they reopen, and people are only going to be able to go to Six Flags with a reservation. So it's not quite an appointment, but it's similar, right? So it seems like that's going to be the new thing. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be other businesses that are going to be open by appointment only, or if this is just, for special gun stores because they're gun stores. Christopher Kilty, the owner of Precision Point Firearms in Woburn, said he felt attacked by the Baker administration's initial decision. And he says, we don't know why the governor made that quick decision to shut us down. I think we do all know why the governor made that decision to shut them down. Attorney Jason Guida, who represents the gun shop owner, said the state never answered why gun shops were being treated differently than other businesses such as liquor stores. Well, I mean, we all know why that is, and it's because it is Massachusetts. That is the only reason why that would be happening, is because Massachusetts is very, very, very decidedly anti-2A. So that is the good news there. There's also been a couple of other disc golf courses that have been opened, not like officially, but sneakily, because there's so many different mixed messages that are happening on the local, state, and federal levels that no one really knows what to do. So it's nice to know that there are actually people getting out and doing things. There's actually traffic outside my window today, and there was traffic trying to get here today. And actually, if you look, according to, I believe it was the LA Times, they analyzed traffic patterns and traffic, the amount of traffic, the amount of Americans out on the roads, even with the crazy unemployment that we have right now, is pretty much back to where it was before the lockdowns. So even though we see all of these studies and surveys out there, like the Washington Post did one recently with the University of Maryland that said something like 68% of people would not feel comfortable going back into a store, and I believe 78% said they wouldn't feel comfortable eating at a restaurant. And so the basic premise is, oh, okay, everyone's still too afraid for things to reopen. Despite those numbers, there are a ton of people that are out and about. So I don't know where these places are sampling from or who they're sampling, or if it's, people do as I say, not as I do. I don't know, because like I said, there's tons of traffic out there. The traffic patterns are back to pretty close to where they were before this, and it's not like it's people that are heading back into work, because we are now at 33 million people unemployed right now. And I found an interesting article earlier that had the real unemployment rate for right now, and that was a couple That it was a couple weeks old already, because it was from the end of April. So we have seen the problem with unemployment rates is, so NBC put out, there's so many conflicting numbers here. So NBC says that there's a record 25 million jobs were lost in April as unemployment rate jumps to 14.7%. So yes, we had record job loss in April, but the thing to know about these unemployment rates is there's like the unemployment rate and then there's the real unemployment rate. Now, if I remember correctly, when they count unemployment rates, they don't they're counting like new claims and things like that. There are people who eventually phase off of unemployment because their benefits have lapsed or ended, but they still haven't gotten a job. So here we have, and it says it right here. Unemployment rate rose to 14.7%. Which are both post-World War II records, but right here, the real unemployment rate, which includes workers not looking for jobs and the underemployed, surged to 22.8%. The article that I looked at earlier, that was from April 23rd, had that rate at 20%. So we jumped another about 3% in the span of a couple of weeks. Now, this is the highest rate since 1934. The peak of the Great Depression was 24.9%. So we are getting pretty dang close. Our numbers are officially rivaling that of the Great Depression. Now, I've had some people arguing with me that this really isn't a big deal because people are getting benefits, so it doesn't matter. Well, the fact whether they're getting benefits or not does matter, because A, those benefits are going to end eventually. B, there is no guarantee that these people will ever get their jobs back. There are so many businesses that have closed now and might forever close. They might have to file for bankruptcy. They might be gone forever, right? So a lot of these people don't have any guarantee that they will have a job when this is over. So you can't just say like, oh, well, yeah, the unemployment sucks, but it doesn't matter. We're all okay because we're getting unemployment. No, like that's besides the fact. People have still lost their jobs. The fact that they've lost their, like the fact that they're getting like $600 a week, or supposedly some people are getting up to $1,300 a week. I don't see how that's possible, because I think I mentioned last time, my practice hours, I went from seeing like 25 clients a week down to like 10. So I'm cut in more than half. There's a couple weeks that I saw 8 people. So I filed, and unemployment told me that I would only be able to get a whopping $200. And that if I made more than 95 in any given week, that I wouldn't be entitled to unemployment because it was considered excess earnings. So I don't know how there are people out there getting $1,300, $1,400 a week. I don't know if that's true. But regardless, again, that's not going to last forever. The government doesn't actually have that money to be giving to people. There are all kinds of articles coming out that state governments don't actually have the money to fulfill the unemployment claims that people are making. And the federal government, to be real, I mean, they're doing this by just printing more money. Basically, they are doing quantitative easing right now, which is basically when they just pump more money, more physical dollar bills out into the economy, and they're not backed by anything, so that devalues the money. It leads to inflation, blah, 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 blah. The unemployment rate that is surging and getting close to the Great Depression is not going to help that. And even it says it right here, April's unemployment rate topped the post-war record 10.8%, but was short, as if it's a big deal that it's short of the Great Depression high estimated at 24.9. That's still a pretty big deal. Okay, so it's like 5 points short. Like, there are 33 million people without jobs right now. Oh my goodness. So let me pop in and check some super chats here. And I just saw that I got a text message from my D&D group, so I'm going to be bad and check that real quick. Okay. I got asked a very important question. One moment. So I have to pull out my trusty handy dandy notebook here for a minute, guys. Okay, this is actually going to take me way longer to find than I thought. Okay, sorry about that. It was a very important Dungeons and Dragons question. So let's pull up the super chats here. And then we're going to look at some other articles. Someone says, Zach, hi, Zach. Aren't you supposed to be watching Eric Oakley? What are you doing here? So my friend Zach says super chat because I'm super. Let's see. So Dave Smith says happy birthday. Tim says happy belated birthday. Can't watch right now, but we'll revisit the video later on. Well, thank you. Hopefully you enjoy it. Ignore the couple minutes that I just used to check my phone. And then Robert talking about how the brothels are closed and the strip clubs are closed. Oh, Jonathan Stevie is putting another German lesson for me. Geburtstag means birthday. The entire phrase means have a good birthday. German lesson for the day. I'm sure that if I sat here and really concentrated, I could probably pronounce that better. But now is not the time or place. Superboss Giovanni. Oh, this is a good point that we can talk about today. I actually saw a moron on Twitter say that the desire to go outside stems from capitalism and selfishness. I encountered some similar issues this week. So you know what? We'll talk about that one because it led to some angry commies coming at me again. Mr. Rover Pilot says, "What microphones are you using today?" So I am using Audio Technica. Let's see. It is the. Can we get that to focus? Well, whatever. It's the AT2020 USB Plus. So it's a cardioid condenser microphone, and it plugs into my USB, which is super easy. Robin Patty says, instead of meat, may I suggest Soylent Green? Oh, that's something I can talk about today, too. Pierre Plord says, some birthday money to grow your... I'm guessing that's supposed to be gun collection. It's got a little super soaker, a money bag, and a tree. Robert Chappelle says 400,000 unemployed in Wow. Am I reading that? 400,000 unemployed in Nevada? There's only 3 million people in the state, so that's a workforce of about... Oh, I'm reading of about 1.5 million. So that would be about 35%. That is crazy. That is really kind of scary. Project Grover says, buying my first gun tomorrow after trying to get my LTC since December. Wondering if I should go public on the ridiculous process or not. Hashtag mass sucks. That's a good question. And honestly, so I'm curious, Project Rover, did you get your class done ahead of time or what? Because I have been seeing some ads on Facebook from, I think, Boston Tactical that are offering to do the LTC safety classes and like the police safety classes online. And I'm pretty sure Governor Baker said that we couldn't do that, or it might have even been at the federal level. But I remember that it was something that we talked about with John, where people were not allowed to do their safety classes online. So I'm really curious about what is going on in that department. So, yes, so I saw, I had several people that were popping up, unfortunately, all over the social medias and stuff this week, talking about the selfishness of these horrible protesters and these people that want to go outside. And there was one in particular, I'm going to pull up the status so that I can read it, that complained about it being a sign of greed. So I'm on the person's Facebook. I'm not going to call them out because that would be bad. Damn, they post a lot. Here we go. It enrages me how every country had their shit together before slowly opening their country, but over here in our shit greedy country, people would rather risk others' lives, act like dumb gun-holding hicks, holding protests, threatening violence, shake my head. And then she goes on to complain about Trump. We are supposed to have a great leader displaying compassion and patience during this time, but we have this toxic chaos-loving critter concerned only with money and showing others it's okay to behave this way. Enough is enough. Hasn't Melania watched Wives Who Kill yet? So that's pretty crazy that we are, people are the word greedy specifically, is a word that I keep seeing coming up. And I posted about this on Twitter earlier this week. And there were so many people that were like, oh, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying it. Nobody's calling that greed. That person just used the word greedy. I believe she used the word shit greedy. Our shit greedy country. So that's... Ugh. So I'd be curious, I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. And then, on another note of things that never happened, Massachusetts is officially at this point now rationing their meat. So I'm going to see if I can, actually, can you guys see this? Here we go. So right there, look at that. Due to nationwide supplier issues, we are limiting to no more than 2 packages of each type of packaged meat item per customer. And that's with like the bacon and the ham. Here we go. Here is the same sign in the pork section. And here is also a sign in the beef section. They're not doing this with chicken yet at this store, but so that's a store that's close to me. There's another store that's a couple towns over where I usually do my grocery shopping, and that store, people were posting in the local Facebook, the meat sections were completely empty. They couldn't even put up signs to limit purchases because nothing was there. We also have this sign. This was the baking aisle. Limit 2 items per customer. I don't know if you guys can see that there. And I talked to my dad this week, and he lives in the other side of the state. He lives in Western Mass, and he was telling me that where he lives, they are also saying 2 packages of meat, and also they're limiting the amount of eggs that you can buy as well. So you're only allowed to buy 2 cartons of eggs at a time. Anything more than that, and they, I guess, tell you to go put it back. I don't really know. But they are enforcing it. He was only allowed to buy 2 cartons of eggs. So they are definitely rationing the food. And it's interesting that they're saying that it's only food supplier issues. And everyone keeps saying, oh, it's an issue with the suppliers. There's no shortage. But when there's an issue with the suppliers and the meat can't get processed, it can't go through the plants, the farmers can't even get it to the plants to be processed, and then when it can't get from the plants to the stores, whatever, whenever there is a holdup in any of those steps from like point A to B, C, D, whatever, doesn't that create a shortage if the product isn't in stores for people to buy, right? I mean, it's semantics. It is a game of semantics that people are playing, and that's all that it is. And actually, there's a comedian, JP Sears. If any of you guys are familiar with him, he's like the long-haired, like ginger hippie-looking dude. He put out a video recently about what it's like to believe everything the media tells you. And it got a lot of dislikes on it. But he talked about, one of the things that he mentioned was like, people used the very first stories that came out about all of this and the stories that made them the scaredest and the most afraid to make snap judgments. And now they are sticking to those snap judgments regardless of new information that comes out, whether it's, positive or negative. They are just sticking to the original media narrative, even though there has been all kinds of other information that has challenged some of these things back and forth. And they are just like digging in their heels and sticking their head in the sand. And that is about it. And there's no like critical thinking, I feel like, when it comes to a lot of these stories in the media. For example, these protests, look, Michigan, the protests in Michigan that I was late to hear because I was posting the video for it. The protests in Michigan, for example, those happened, and then numbers went up like the next day or something like that, and all of a sudden people were like, oh, okay, we're getting more corona cases because the people of Michigan went out and protested. First of all, testing takes like 2 to 3 days at least to get the results. I mean, they do have those like rapid testing kits out there, but regular everyday citizens are not going out there and getting them. So you can't like have a protest and then see a spike in numbers the next day and say, oh, it's because of the protest. No, because first of all, you have a certain window of time that it takes for positive numbers to come out. You have an incubation period. Some people are carrying it around for 2 weeks before they even exhibit symptoms. So all of these spiked numbers that we're seeing the day after a protest or 2-3 days later are not because of that protest. Now, yes, when we have like the beaches opening in Florida, people going out protesting, whatever, there will be an uptick in cases because people are being let out of their house. That's going to happen with any illness or disease out and about in the world. it's no different than the flu or the cold. If you have the flu or the cold, whatever, you go outside, you cough on people, it spreads around. That's just what happens. And like, people aren't, if you're in your house all the time, you are not getting exposed. You're not building up antibodies. You're not doing the herd immunity that like Sweden is going for and is now looking like is probably going to be the answer. So anytime you have an empty vacuum and you suddenly put a bunch of people in it, things are going to spread. That's basically the laws of physics. But you cannot say that it's because of the protests like the day or two after the protests. That's not how science works. I'm not even a doctor, and I can tell you that. But speaking of things reopening, I'm going to see if I can find this because I heard this and I did not get to actually check it. So I'm going to look it up right now. Supposedly, there is a reopening plan in the UK that was leaked and people were really upset about it because it said that obese people had to stay home. And, okay, the first one that comes up is the Daily Mail. I don't know how much we really want to do the Daily Mail. Let's see, coronavirus map. Union sound alarm over leaked coronavirus plan. I don't know what this website is. I just know that the Daily Mail is really annoying with all of their ads and things. So, all these places wanting me to register. All right, well, we're going to go with the Daily Mail and all of their crap. All their horrible pop-ups. I'm going to get rid of all the pop-ups here before I share my screen. Okay. I hate this website and all the crap that pops up here. But, okay, so this is according to the Daily Mail. Garden centers are reopening on Monday. Schools are opening at the end of the month. Pubs in August and gyms in October. Boris Johnson's COVID-19 lockdown exit plan explained in full. And I saw in the preview something about leaked documents. Let's see. There will be a return to sunbathings and picnics. Yeah. Where's the part about the leaked documents? Well, so here's, oh, this doesn't say. So it supposedly what got leaked was how they were going to tell immunocompromised people with pre-existing conditions and things like that to stay home. But one of the pre-existing conditions listed was obesity. And so the social justice warriors were really upset about it. And I'm not seeing anything. You know what? We'll say leaked plans. So this is leaked. I mean, I trust this because I heard about it on Ben Shapiro. So you know what? I'm gonna see if I can find another article about that because I heard and thought it was hilarious. Pre-existing condition for UK reopen. I bet that this is actually going to be a really hard thing to... okay, here we go. New York Times. The Times has got it. Boom. Okay, so let's see if we can find... nope, that's not it. Well... It happened, supposedly, somewhere, and I just can't find it. Another big thing that's in the news this week is, I'm sure you guys have heard about this. I don't know how to say his name. I'm going to butcher it. Ahmaud Arbery. So, For those of you who have not heard, this kind of exploded over the internet over the last couple of days. So this is another case of someone being shot, of a black man being shot. And now this situation, it's interesting. It's being compared to Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman and that whole thing, but the facts in it, I mean, there are some similarities, there are some overlaps, but the facts are very, very different. So in this case, the whole thing was caught on video. I'm not going to show you that video because I'm like 99% sure it goes against YouTube's terms of service. And yeah, we're not going to mess with that on a live stream because YouTube really doesn't like it when you violate terms of service on a live stream. If it's on a regular video, they kind of slap your wrist and get mad at you. If you do it on a live stream, everything could be taken down at the drop of a hat. So we're not going to do that. But there is a video of this where basically Arbery is like jogging down the street, and it's being filmed from behind, from inside a car. And on the footage, we see that he jogs up, and he's jogging up to like a pickup truck, and there's a guy in the truck bed and in the truck, and they have guns. And first he tries to like jog around the truck off to the left, realizes that they're armed, and tries to like go away instead around to the right, and then he gets confronted by the guy with the shotgun. They tussle a little bit as he tries to defend himself. I mean, I think most people with a strong survival instinct in that situation would probably do that. I mean, if you are jogging along and you see a couple of guys that are armed and in a pickup truck trying to stop you, your choices are run and get shot in the back or try to fight them. So really, I mean, I don't think that he did anything wrong in that fact. They tussle a little bit, and then he gets shot a couple of times. And the story is that supposedly these two men, who are father and son, I believe, the father is an ex-cop and his son, the story that they're saying is that they thought that he was an armed robbery suspect and decided to try to find him and question him for like a citizen's arrest or something like that. So in the state of Georgia, there are stand your ground laws, but there's also laws around citizens arrest, right? And this happened in Georgia. So the laws around citizens arrest basically say that you can do a citizen's arrest, but only if you have personally witnessed the crime. They're not saying that they personally witnessed a crime. They just said that there were some break-ins in the neighborhood like earlier in the week, and they thought that he matched the description of a suspect. So that right there is kind of illegal. Like really illegal. I mean, and the fact that they were filming it is really bizarre to me. Because that could be either like, okay, they did think that they were in the right and wanted to have evidence of it, or they were like really sick and sadistic. It could go either way. But like the other big deal about this is this happened in February, and like no one's hearing about it until now. These guys were allowed to, go free, and of course, innocent until proven guilty, but there is a video of them shooting somebody. So, and courts, lawyers, nobody has touched this for like 2.5, 3 months. And like, that's the big deal about this case. So, and now it's coming out that one of the men accused in the fatal shooting was involved in a previous prosecution of Arbery, according to a letter written by a prosecutor who has since recused himself from the case. There have been a few people who have been recused from this case, which is also pretty interesting. There's all kinds of rumors back and forth as to whether or not he had a previous criminal record, which is another thing, but one of the things that came up was there was a witness who did call the police earlier that day saying that she saw a black man jogging around a like construction site of a house that was being built. And they called 911 and there's like, oh my God, there's this guy running around this like construction of a house being built and now he's running away. Well, I mean, the act of like running around a construction site is not a crime. People do it pretty often. You see a house being built or something and you're like, oh, that's cool. Like, how are they doing that? You go and check it out. I mean, I guess there's an argument for like trespassing or something, but not really. So these guys, Gregory McMichael, 64, and his 34-year-old son, Travis McMichael, were arrested Thursday evening and faced charges of murder. This is a typo. Charges will say of murder and aggravated assault in Arbery's killing on February 23rd, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So that is one of the things that people are all up in arms about, is like, this happened February 23rd and people are getting arrested now. When again, there's a video. Let's see. So this guy that recused himself in an April 7th letter was a district attorney, George Barnhill. He wrote that his son and the suspect, Gregory McMichael, helped with an earlier prosecution of Arbery when they both worked for the Brunswick Judicial Circuit Court, district attorney's office, rather. So he was the second prosecutor to oversee the case after the Brunswick DA also recused himself due to her office's previous connection to McMichael. So again, the older fellow here, the 64-year-old, is an ex-cop. So he's had all kinds of contact with like the DA and the legal system here in Georgia. So I mean, like I said, people are recusing themselves and dropping out of this investigation like crazy. So it says, so the previous investigation reported that Arbery was indicted for allegedly bringing a gun to a 2013 high school basketball game when he was 19. It doesn't say whether or not he was a student or whether he was just an onlooker in the audience or whatever. But again, it's Georgia. People bring guns to sporting games all the time, I bet. Family attorney Lee Merritt has acknowledged Arbery's 2018 arrest on shoplifting charges, but any reference to alleged conduct from high school or shoplifting is absurd and has nothing to do with his murder. I mean, and that is true. You know, just because shoplifting is a crime, and, you know, if he was arrested and charged with that, it doesn't really say whether he was found guilty or anything, but again, you know, as far as we know, no one saw a crime taking place and this dude was just jogging down the street and was confronted. And I mean, unless it was like your house and the guy is still in there actively stealing something from your house and you see it, I really don't think that there's any merit to then like going through and roaming the neighborhood like looking for this guy and taking him out yourself. Like, I'm pretty sure that that's not how that works. Like, even in a, you know, purely libertarian world, you know, at that point, the threat is gone. And for you to go and like hunt down this person, like personally with your boys when he's out jogging, I feel like that's some undue aggression. Let me hop back in here to the chat. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think about that situation. I think that it's pretty crazy. And either way, you know, the whole thing about, you know, everyone is able to, you know, has a right to a fair trial and all of that. I mean, why are people just now like recusing themselves or getting arrested or whatever, like 2 months after the fact? Actually 2.5, because that was February 23rd. And I keep thinking this is April or something. So it's 2.5 months later. Let's see. I got Zach's. So Too Tall says, at that rate of unemployment, it's 19.8 trillion a week in unemployment. That just makes the paper money they are using useless. Absolutely. It's fiat currency, and fiat currency has no backing. It's just basically made up in like sugar pied fairy la la land or something. Tim Allen says, super chat because you are super. Happy birthday. I hope you had a fun-tabulous day. Thank you. Watchdog says, happy birthday, Liberty. Normally watch after the fact, but I got to watch live today. By the way, I have fully recovered and returned to work today. Good for you. Congratulations. Gardner says, happy birthday, LD. Hey, did Lenin and Stalin say that about capitalism when they sent people to the gulags? How about FDR with the Japanese American internment camps? Keep fighting for logic and ethics. Love ya. Thank you. Fred Hill says, happy birthday. Rick Tennant says, happy Womb Liberation Day. The Irritated American says, heard about General Flynn. So I did, and someone else is telling me to drink. Mr. Rover Pilot is telling me to drink. So I did hear about General Flynn. I heard a clip in passing from Tucker Carlson that my husband was watching this morning, so I don't know a ton about it, but I do know that basically the case was dropped, I believe, and the whole big thing is like, cool, so the FBI is just, singling people out. And the big question with that is, okay, how often do they do that? And how much do they do that? And we don't know about it. And if they can do it to General Flynn, of course they can do it to an everyday person, Joe Schmo, for whatever reason, and probably not get caught because they don't have all the media and weight of a, famous general behind them to try and fight that. Rose Blight says, Mom and I have 3 refrigerator freezers full, an upright freezer full, and if necessary, another upright ready if need be. Rationing in some stores, but not Walmart yet. Yeah, I'm curious if they're rationing in the Walmart here, especially because there are 3 local Walmarts now that have been shut down completely because of COVID-19. So, there are three of the closest ones, I believe, and there are 2 left that are pretty close by. One is a 24-hour one, but they're having reduced hours, and so I'm imagining that a lot of the people that would have shopped at those are now going to the others, and I'm sure they can't keep up with the stock. Squid Monkey says, love your content, love your videos, love you for spreading the message of liberty, and happy birthday, all in one super chat. Thank you. Fire Makes Me King says, Cuomo said 66% of hospitalizations were shelter in place people. Surprise. Not much of a surprise at all. Ionasdan says, happy birthday. Thank you. And then we'll go check out the regular comments here. Trump nationalized the Fed. Well, so the Federal Reserve is a private bank that's just called the Federal Reserve. They're not actually part of the government, really, and that's why they don't have much oversight. And, it's the whole no one's watching the Watchmen thing. Let's see. Oh, cute. Damn. He says, oh, a cop. No wonder why they shot him. Joel Wilbanks says he was trying to rip the shotgun out of the guy's hands. Well, so, yes. I mean, it does appear that way. But, so, hypothetically, right? You are running, you're jogging. If I was jogging down the street and I got cornered by 3 men, 2 of which were armed, and I'm, again, my choices are to run and probably get shot in the back, or stay and fight and get shot, but still have a little bit of a fighting chance, maybe. I wouldn't get very far because I'm a woman, but if I was unarmed and in that situation, I would fight the guy, and I would probably try to take the gun too, because, there's a gun pointed at you, and they were like, oh, well, he didn't obey our commands. Well, he had no reason to obey their commands because he probably didn't know that this guy was an ex-cop. Being an ex-cop doesn't give you any special rights or privileges above other people. If I were to say to one of you, do this or else, there is no reason, like there's no law or rule around you obeying me. For all intents and purposes, these were 4 regular people engaged in this, right? And so, yeah, I mean, if I'm running down the street and I'm being confronted and cornered by armed men with guns, and my choice is to run and get shot or fight and maybe not get shot, I'm going to fight, and I'm probably going to try to take the gun away to protect myself. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, and I don't think that the fact that he did that is necessarily any sort of damning evidence myself. Matthew Emmerich says, what I have not heard is, did that guy live in the area? Is it reasonable to say he was jogging? So I believe that he jogged like every day. He used to be a football player, and I have heard that he did regularly jog in that area and that the neighborhood was familiar with him jogging in the area, and that was like something that was typical. Joel Wilbank says he was running away from the group of people who caught him breaking and entering. That's possible, but the police statement says that these people knew that there had been break-ins earlier in the week, and that they thought that he matched the description. So if the things happened earlier in the week, this was not them just chasing him down because they witnessed the crime happening that day. At least that is the information that we have right now. Let's see. Clue, never grab the barrel of a gun pointed at your guts. Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, who knows? Adrenaline in the moment. Bok Choi says cops cause the crimes that they claim to be fighting. Sometimes, yes. More people telling me to drink my water. Cameron Jergy says, who released the video? I believe it was like the news, basically. Whenever a video gets out as like evidence or something like that. So let's see. Grey Death says police have had the video all along. Yeah, that's what I figured, because I assume like these guys probably handed over the video to be like, hey, look, here's my evidence, to try to like protect themselves. Steven says, yeah, that he's walked through several homes under construction in my area and never had a problem with the neighbors. Let's see. I do have water. I have 2 bottles of water here. Pickle Joe's for Hillary says he grabbed the gun went off, accidental discharge, end of story. Yes, I mean, that is entirely possible. But then, so would that technically, in cases where death has occurred, but you didn't necessarily mean for it to occur, isn't that typically manslaughter? Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is grounds for manslaughter. Either way, it went to a grand jury to decide if there is anything there, and I believe the grand jury did say that there is and that it will go to trial. So, Eli Bourne says, I will say this, if there was doubt about the forensics of the case, they may have waited to get lab results and other evidence analyzed before presenting the case to a grand jury. That's true. I mean, there's probably other stuff that we don't know. And we'll find out, I suppose. Let's see. Andy Robichaud says, money is to patron the gun stores, and did you get your B-Day survival kit? I don't believe I did. I'm getting a birthday survival kit? Or is that a joke that I don't understand? There's nothing in the P.O. box yet. That's for sure. But, like, I don't know. The mail has been crazy slow here. Torque1 says, Reno May and Collier Noir both have videos about this. The victim tried to run, and those vigilantes hunted him down to attack him. Okay. So, I mean, if that is the case, then, you could argue that both parties were in the wrong. Certainly, I think that there were some things that could have been done differently. So, we'll have to see. Red Rum and the Hair Dark are saying that is manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter, says B, yes, in California. Judge 2. So we'll have to see. Crazy Ivan says using deadly force against an unarmed man on a public street is a crime. They had no right to attempt the stop. If they suspected he was involved in something, they should have notified the police. I mean, yeah, being that the police do have a monopoly on force in this country, legally that is the correct answer, honestly. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. And unfortunately, because the guy is an ex-cop, there is always the question of whether or not the case will be treated fairly, as there are a disproportionate amount of folks who, are on the police force and do engage suspects and have shootings and things, and then nothing ever really happens. So we will see. So Gito463 says, if 3 guys with guns in a truck tried to stop me for no reason, I wouldn't have stuck around either. I don't think he was doing wrong at all. So, John Pickney says, 2 wrongs never make a right, but 3 lefts get you back to where you started. So I think what we're going to have to find more, we're going to have to wait to see more details of the case and see what comes out. I am inclined at this point to say that the dudes in the truck probably did some wrong, but we'll have to see. So that's the big thing right now. So I want to get to this article because this was the article that I saw when I went into Facebook to grab the other ones. And so this, I have not seen this before. I know nothing about this story. So this will be the last thing that we cover today, I guess. And we'll go through it together. So apparently a New York City nurse has been arrested for using a stolen credit card from a dying coronavirus patient. So that's pretty interesting. So apparently this nurse was from Staten Island, and she swiped a credit card from a dying coronavirus patient in a hospital ventilator unit, and she used the card to purchase groceries and gas before he was even dead. Oh, God, that's terrible. So her name is Danielle Conti. She's 43 years old. And she stole the card of 70-year-old widower Anthony Catapano while making her daily rounds at hard-hit Staten Island University Hospital North sometime in April. The man died on April 12th, leaving behind a 12-year-old grandchild. So this is her. Oh no, this is him. This is him and his daughter. So there's a statement, blah, blah, blah. So on April 9th, when the nursing veteran allegedly rang up charges of $60.23, Staten Island hit its coronavirus peak with nearly 1,200 cases in a single day. So she used it at a gas station. And there was another charge made the same day to a ShopRite. So she was charged with grand larceny. And she was ordered to appear in Staten Island criminal court at a later date. She has been working at the hospital since 2007, and she was immediately suspended and faced possible termination over the charges. Unfortunately, it's really sad, but at least in nursing homes, things get stolen from patients all of the time. That is unfortunately a pretty regular occurrence. So Tara Catapano discovered the fraud after her dead father's credit card bill arrived in the mail, and she realized the charges were rung up on the same day when he was moved into the ventilator unit. For a total of $60.23, she said that's what she risked her job for. That is terrible. And also it raised some red flags because apparently he always bought his gas in cash. So that's pretty crazy. At Conti's New Jersey address, a woman said the nurse wasn't home before closing the door on a reporter. A man exiting a pickup truck at the residence then declined to address the macabre allegations. And then neighbors confirmed that the woman that closed the door was actually the nurse and her husband. So that's pretty messed up. I know that, like I said, when I worked at nursing homes through high school and college, until I moved away for grad school. And yeah, I mean, patients got things stolen from them all of the time. I know that my grandfather, when he was in a nursing home in New Hampshire, he was a gold prospector and he did gold panning, and he actually had like a big gold nugget that for some reason he had with him at the nursing home. I don't really know why someone let him take that in there when he was brought in, but he had, I think it was because he was in assisted living first or whatever, but that went missing. And he had a whole bunch of other little vials of like gold flakes and stuff like that, and that all went missing while he was in the nursing home. So that's pretty crappy. But I mean, when someone is like they're getting help at a hospital, that's terrible. Someone says she'll get a lawyer and claim PTSD. Oh, man. Valhalla Arcist says, happy birthday, doll, from the AAFRTD crowd. I am not sure what that stands for. FL Sheepdog 1 says, I can work next to patients all day but can't go to a park or stay 6 feet away in the store. Makes no sense. No, it doesn't make any sense at all. Polaris 589 asks if I've heard of HR 838. Firearms Policy Coalition seems to be worried about it. Also, from a psychologist's perspective, what can be done to decrease mass shootings? So I have not heard about the bill. I'll have to look that one up. As far as decreasing mass shootings, well, this is something that I've talked about in streams before. I mean, I don't know necessarily about decreasing them, but I will say that anyone who has engaged in these, big mass shootings, with the exception of, the one in Vegas, was it? LA? Vegas? Whatever. With the exception of that one where the guy was in the hotel, I don't know why it's escaping me at the moment, but in all of the other ones, there were some common threads. History of violent behavior, history of charges, history of mental instability and mental health issues. In the cases with schools, all of the students had been to that school at some point. They were all former students. They all also, again, had histories of violence and mental health issues. Some of them had issues to the point where they should have been involuntarily committed and they were not. And they all also had a big loss prior, like pretty soon before the shooting. So I think that really what it comes down to is schools in some of these areas not being gun-free zones, number one, so people are able to protect themselves. I mean, like we saw in the church where the man took down the church shooter. And so I think it's that. I think that it's paying more attention to people's mental health. And things like involuntary commitment, for example, like that's a pretty shaky one for me. And I have some really mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, like if someone is at imminent risk of endangering other people, like something needs to be done to keep people safe. But at the same time, involuntary commitment then takes away your Second Amendment right. And I don't believe that I personally have the right to decide that for anyone. So I don't know. But then like I said, I have mixed feelings about it, but I think that it comes down to mental health and, teaching your kids to be more caring and empathic. And, a lot of these people that engaged in these acts had troubled childhoods and troubled home lives. And I mean, I really think that these mass shooters are like the new serial killer and the new spree killer. I've talked about this before, where I think most, if not all, of these people are probably antisocial personalities. And not everyone with antisocial personality, which is psychopath or sociopath, not all of them are dangerous or violent people, but some of them are. Some of them, it's sort of like if you ever think like, oh man, I could punch that guy in the face, I'm so mad. There is like an e-brake in your brain that stops you from actually doing that or committing violence. The people that are going out and doing this don't have that set of brakes. They don't have the empathy. They don't have the value for human life. And they are angry and emotionally volatile. Some of them are impulsive. Some of them are not, which is really the main difference between sociopaths and psychopaths is the planning and impulsivity. And the ability to actually have some close relationships. So, I mean, we couldn't really stop serial killers, so I don't really know if we can stop these mass shooters, but we can, keep a better eye on warning signs and not have gun-free zones, is I guess how I'll answer that. Midnight Visions, thank you very much. Oh, FTB TV. It just skipped down as I was about to read that. Oh man, it really jumped when I did that. Says, happy birthday, LD. Thank you. 6 turning 4 burning says, cops are now acting like an occupying army where everybody is an enemy. Shoot first, cover up, mistake after. Yeah, well, I mean, and unfortunately, I think the police force, it's not the old Andy Griffith times anymore. Unfortunately, there is very much the police force, and whether it's local police, state police, federal agents, whatever, have become more and more and more militarized. And unfortunately, so they needed the budget to get that equipment, right? Well, then in order to keep that budget, they need to use that equipment, and they need to continue to use these militarized mechanisms in order to maintain the budget. It becomes a horrible cycle. And yes, I mean, I think that if not all, but most of us can say and agree at this point that we are in a police state. Hal Edwards says, in small counties in Georgia, everybody tends to know each other. DAs have seen most people as jurors, witnesses, or defendants. The 2 men have finally been arrested and charged. Happy birthday. Chester Thomas, my goodness, thank you, says, happy birthday. It's very sad to see people still getting shot for running in the wrong part of town. The only reason the good old boys got arrested is because the video leaked. Stay safe during the civ. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know the circumstances, but the video definitely does not look good. And if it is the case that they didn't get arrested until the video got out, and because the video got out, that is a very big failing of our legal system, just flat out. And yeah, I mean, it sucks. Ideally, you should be able to jog in any part of town on public roads, but Mr. Rover Pilot says, AAFRTD equals anarchy among friends, round table discussion. Okay, thank you. FL Sheepdog 1 says, if you're a juror for an unconstitutional law violation, know what jury nullification is. So, yeah, and any time that I've been selected asked to go attend jury duty, I've never actually had to go in, so I've never gotten picked. But I've been told that they don't normally pick therapists or mental health people, so I probably wouldn't get picked anyways. I'm not going to read that one out loud. Q says, our feelings on roads. Cap'n Mac 82 says Liberty Dawn with students at home, school shootings are way down. Yes, and it's interesting because I've been seeing people on the left talking about the decrease in school shootings as a way to be like, oh yes, we need to have lockdowns. Like they've been saying like, oh, it's because like the gun owners aren't allowed out to roam the streets, when you could say like, oh, well, it's that there aren't students in school that are vulnerable in gun-free zones. Like the argument can go either way. The argument that it's because gun owners aren't outside, I think really falls flat just based on the fact of how many, like the record NICS checks that we had in March. So that means there are tons more gun owners and guns out in people's hands, you know, law-abiding citizens' hands than ever before, and yet violence is down, school shootings are down. So, I mean, I really think that pokes holes in their argument about it being the fault of gun owners. Grape Collect says, would have been different if Ahmed had a gun. Yes, probably. I mean, I think, honestly, the best way to not be a victim is to have a gun and carry a gun. Robert Chappelle says, did you see the fat cops in Texas raiding the bar with a bear cat? No, I did not see it, but I heard about it. And I also heard, so there was the woman who was running the salon, right? And she got 7 days, and I believe that was in Texas. I heard about the bar. I didn't see it. And then I also saw one, someone had a nail salon, I believe it was, and they got charged and given 6 months for having an open salon. But what's interesting is at the same time, I saw on Instagram the other day someone posting that the governor of Texas said that he was making it so that you couldn't go to jail for reopening your business, and that his order would then trump local law. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I'm going to have to go and look into that more. Let's see. Rain Silver Splash says there is not an increase in mental illness. There is a decrease in self-control. Even the mentally ill used to be taught there were consequences. So, I mean, I don't think there's an increase in mental illness. I didn't say that. I just think that, people, I think that I think that, how do I put this? I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. I think that, I mean, there is a percentage of the population that are, you know, it's always around like 2%, I believe, that fall into the category of like antisocial personality. And those people, they're just born. They're born that way. People are born with something different about their brains. And whether or not we know what that is up for debate depending on the study that you're looking at. But at the same time, I think that young people especially, there's like sort of a disconnect with, you know, everyone is behind screens and texting and online, and there is not as much person-to-person human interaction as there used to be. And young people, teenagers, I wouldn't say it's an increase in mental illness, but there is a lot more anxiety now among teenagers and young people than there used to be when it comes to social interactions with other people, because they are not learning those skills because of the technology, their use of technology, the way they use it, and its high availability. Don't take that as me saying that technology is bad. I'm just saying that people aren't learning like face-to-face social skills as much anymore, and so they're having a more difficult time with it. And as far as the mentally ill used to be taught there were consequences, I mean, I think that there are still consequences and people are aware of it. I know that this is I feel like this is probably referencing the whole spanking debate, and I'm not going to get into that because I know it's a hot button issue, and I've argued with people on the channel about it before, but I will say that if you look at the numbers, if you look at the studies, millennials spanked their children more than the boomers did, the baby boomer generation. So there's that. And And I got Grape Collects already. Steve Lundgren asks, how many young people are addicted to smartphones and or social media? I'm not sure. I don't know the numbers on that. That's not something that I focus on. And there's something that people are talking in the chat. I must have missed the first part of that. David Neal says the lady that owned the hair salon was released as ordered by the Texas Supreme Court, I believe. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Let's see. So Andy Robichaud says, I'm not a teenager, but I don't like being around people in general, not any of you guys, but other people. Well, I mean, I'm finding that having grown up in a city, I more and more want to be out in like the country somewhere without a ton of people around. But I think part of that is just because I am a libertarian that wants to be left alone and I am surrounded by leftists. Jack Beanstalk asks, any comment on the firearms ban in Canada? So I talked about it last week, I think. I don't know a ton more about it, but someone did send me a list of the actual like banned assault weapons, and a lot of them are like rocket launchers and grenade launchers and like like tank guns and crap like that. So it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Norm Ribberty says kids need parenting, not parents as friends. I do agree with that. That is true. That is true. So One Small Ball says, it's my birthday today, a very old 38 years old. Well, happy birthday, One Small Ball. And Code Connection asks, when do you think you will move to North Carolina like you seem to always dream? So the plan is South Carolina, and I don't know. Our original plan was the end of summer, beginning of fall. We might speed that up. We might not. What it honestly comes down to is just the fact like everything's locked down and we can't do anything about it either way right now. So I'm still working to try and save up like a down payment. We're going to have to put the house on the market. I think we're just going to put it on the market and make a clean split whenever that happens. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know about anything in the future right now, unfortunately, because of all the lockdowns. What I can tell you is Massachusetts is stupid and supposed to get snow tomorrow in the beginning of May because of a freak snowstorm, and that makes me very upset. Midnight Vision says that the Canadian firearm ban, the CCFR, which is the Canadian Coalition Firearms Rights, is taking government to court. That is good. That is good to know. Q tells me to go now, next weekend, slip out during the night. I can't really do that. Oh my goodness. People are saying to hit the like button, and I totally forgot to talk about my new affiliate person. Not a person. So my newest affiliate, actually, so this one I sought out myself, NordVPN. So that's right. I was going to talk about the commies that came after me and relate it to this. So I have been attacked by some angry commies on Twitter several times now. At one point, someone got a hold of some personal information. Luckily, it did not get spread in perpetuity. Luckily, I was not actually doxxed, but because of that, it inspired me to get a VPN. Because I was told that meant that like people wouldn't be able to track me as easily. So when I did all this research for like, I don't know, weeks to try to find a VPN. I personally settled on NordVPN because it had all the features and speed of like ExpressVPN, which is one of the really popular ones, but it was a little bit cheaper. It was in... They also had like shorter plans. You could pay like only for a month at a time, or, you know, go for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. So I liked the flexibility of that with the price because I knew nothing about VPNs and didn't know how much I would like it or how much I would use it. Now I actually use it all the time, and it doesn't really slow down my internet very much. So I settled on Nord for those reasons. And so I reached out to Nord because I found out they had an affiliate program. And so if you click on the link down in the description, It is a special offer for my viewers where you can go click that link, and if you use the coupon code LibertyDoll, you will get 70% off a 3-year plan and 1 month free. If you click the link, there's even just a deal for special people on the YouTubes. So that is a thing. So I see that it is about 8:50 now, so the D&D folks are going to be filtering in, and they're probably some of them watching this right now and making fun of me, because that's what happens every time I sign in. So with that, now that I finally got the little sponsor in there, I guess I will read these last couple super chats that are popping up. Tim Allen, yes, thank you. I also have the Patreon that you can go check out. FL Sheepdog 1 says Texas Bar opens, supported by open carriers, SWAT arrests at gunpoint. I'll put link in the chat. Thank you. Actually, even if you could send that to me at my email or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, all of the links are down in the description for all my social media stuff. So I'll check that out, because that would actually make a really good video topic. And I have a video in the wings that I've been working on for a while, but it's not anything that's particularly like timely, so always looking for other stuff. So on that note, I guess we will wrap it up. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We had a lot of people in today, and I'm seeing, I think, did I miss a super chat? Hold on. Let me check, because there's one popping up in one screen and not in the other. So I want to really make sure that I got them all before I go. And yes, I did miss some, apparently. Okay. 6 turning 4 burning says happy birthday, fellow Taurus. Thank you. And Robin says AR15.com was banned by name in Canada as an evil assault weapon. It's a website. Really? That's crazy! I'm gonna have to look that up. Oh, that's nuts. Ugh. People are so crazy. Like, oh, these lawmakers are so dumb. I've been contemplating a video about like crazy, like, you know how they used to have the things like shit white girls say, or like shit so-and-so says, or like shit liberals say. I want to do like a shit politicians say, like anti-gun politicians say, or something like that. And I mean, that might go in there. I have to find like 10 things to put in there. Fred's Hill asks if I've seen the Senator Warren gun bill. I have not. That'll be another thing that I'll have to look into. I am taking an online class right now, so even though I'm working less, I have homework and things to do, so I'm not getting to research as much as I would have liked. Anyways, so Black Rifle Coffee was banned as well? Seriously? That's ridiculous. In a bill banning guns? Oh my god. Okay. If anyone has links to that exact information, send it to me. All my socials are linked in the description. I think they're at the very bottom, maybe. It's got like my email, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those. Instagram, you can't really send links, clickable links, but any of my socials, yeah, send me that info. And my Nord link is broken? Seriously? They just sent it to me today. All right, let me check that before I sign off. It's popping up for me. If you get the deal. No, I mean, it's popping up for me, so I don't know what's going on. I clicked on it and it came for me, and it automatically applied the coupon, which is cool. So, okay. So I don't know what's going on with some of you folks with that, but the link just worked when I clicked on it. But anyways, so that is it for today. I'm really going to go for realsies now. So everyone, thanks for tuning in and hanging out for my birthday live stream. Thank you everyone for the very generous super chats and birthday wishes. I will be back next week, the usual time, not 10 minutes late. I might have a guest. we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And everyone have a good rest of your night. And I'm going to drink some water and finally eat my dinner. And check out the new video. It's somehow still monetized. Last time I looked, that could have changed while I was on here. But so far, so good. All right, guys. Have a good night. Bye. Awkward smile.